I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are uncovering the inspiring journey of Giulio Veglio through his latest book, Illuminating the Path. From a salon owner to an internationally recognized educator and master stylist, Giulio's story is a testament to the transformative power of leadership and service. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Writers Branding for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Giulio, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. Great to have you on the show. I know you're very well known in the hairstyling industry and an expert in your field. What made you decide to get into the writing field, literary world?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm an immigrant from Italy. I came over when I was 5 years old. I never could make it through a classroom without getting kicked out. So not because I just didn't speak English, but we didn't know about ADD and phonics and ADHD and dyslexia back in the days when I was going to school. So to be honest, I graduated high school not knowing how to read or write. But I had a great smile. I had a great sense of humor, and I think that helped.
Yeah. And those skills are actually underappreciated by school teachers. The ability to speak, the ability to make people laugh, the charisma, all of those things are so important in life. And in fact, are probably going to propel you along on your journey better than if you got straight A's in algebra, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had to learn how to learn because I didn't know how until I graduated from high school. And my mother made me go to beauty school because she's like, you're going to do something.
Right.
But I understood that I had a gift and I wanted to learn how to learn. So it wasn't about how smart I was. I had to figure out how I was smart. So I just embarked on how do I use this? I didn't know I had a dyslexia yet, but my first book, I recorded on a recorder and I had somebody write it for me, and it was called A Slap on the Back of the Head, because that's how my father used to wake me up to think, hey, what's the matter you?
Exactly.
But after I did that and challenged myself, because I did it for me, then I said, you know what, I love this. And I just started writing, and 7 books in now. By the end of the year, I should be 10. And like, once again, when I told you I couldn't read or write or get into college in 2013, I applied to Harvard and graduated in 2015 with executive MBA. But again, it's not about how smart you are, it's how you are smart.
Yeah. Exactly. And as Mark Twain said, all of my life has been a learning experience, except those years I spent in school. So I always felt that way. The problem is schools fail the creative types. I was always looking out the window and dreaming, and I can memorize plays, no problem. You know what I mean? I just was not interested in reading my summer reading list. And, if you're not one who follows the rules, you don't have an easy time in school, particularly when you and I were growing up, because it wasn't only dad who would hit you back in the back of the head. The Irish Christian brothers and the nuns would hit you pretty hard too when I was growing up.
It was a village. They all lined up. You ever see that movie Airplane when they were slapping the person in the chair? They all took turns. That's what it was growing up. Everybody lined up to shape you up. It took a village.
Exactly. They want you to be like everybody else. And sometimes not being like everybody else is a good thing. Let's talk a little bit about Illuminating the Path. Tell us about the title first off.
It's the title Illuminating the Path is enlightening yourself with the teachings of Jesus. Because so many times we read his parables or his metaphors and we get lost, and I still get lost, even though I wrote about them. It's sometimes you still have to think, and most people, illuminating it just woke me up to understanding, because the way I learn is not only writing it, but I would watch I watched the new one that's out, It's on Netflix. What about the story of Jesus?
Hmm.
And every time I would write the parables and then watch the movie on it, I would understand more. And the more enlightened I got, the more it illuminated the path to following the footsteps that Jesus has provided for us. Uh, so that's why I said it's illuminating the path for all of us, because it's easy to get into the wide gate. It's difficult to walk into the narrow path.
Absolutely. Let's give the folks at home an overview of what the book is about.
Sure. Sure. The book is about Matthew, and all the dictation that he wrote down that Jesus, when he was teaching from the Mount all the way into his journey to the last moments that he spent on earth, and all the teachings that he gave, and what did they really mean? Because once again, in 3 pages, the book will give you key points of that parable, and what does that really mean? How does that fit? How do I understand that so I can carry on and really enjoy reading this book? And not only that, it applies not only in faith, but in leadership and in life in itself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you don't have to
Speak.
be religious, by the way. I'm sorry, Logan.
Sure.
You don't have to be religious to enjoy this book. It's just a great feel good pick me up, but it hopefully will draw you into the walk with Christ.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you examine the parables in the book. Is there a parable that you find most intriguing?
Yes, I love salt and light. Bees the salt and light, because salt adds flavor, and we need to add flavor, and especially in today's world, we need to add some
Yeah.
flavor into this world and be the light for people. Be that light that draws them out of the dark, and that it's almost, I look at it as the lighthouse that draws the ships in so they can come in safely out of the dark. And that's who we should be. We should be that beaming light, that example of what Christ like is. Now, don't get me wrong, we are all sinners, but there's only one guy who didn't sin. But
Right.
the fact that we can model the process and be the light and be the salt and add that flavor and add that joy into people's life, that just caught me. And so many people translate it so many ways, but for my head, my mind, that is what I got out of it, is how can I make your day, Logan? How can I brighten your life? How can I draw you into the light so that you can see the world as I do? Because what you see is what you believe
Yeah.
about yourself or anything else. So if you have negative thoughts, you're going to see negative things. If you see beautiful things, if you have beautiful thoughts, you're going to see beautiful things.
Right. Yeah, so much of how we perceive our reality begins up here with what we think.
Yeah,
It's a glass half full, glass half empty type of thing. You can
right.
focus on the clouds, it's partly cloudy or partly sunny. You know what I mean? It's often a matter of perspective, right?
It always is. I mean, today I look at today, people are like, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. Well, no, it's just a repeat of what happened during the Carter days, or it's a repeat of
Right.
what happened during the Reagan. I mean, everything is a big circle.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the end of time, right? We're just got to be ready for it,
Yeah.
and how do you do that? Well, you do the best that you can to help others and serve others.
Exactly. Exactly. Tell us a little bit about how your work at places like Paul Mitchell Systems shaped your approach to leadership and also influenced this book.
Great question. I never knew there existed such thing as motivational speakers or inspirational speakers. Uh, I just knew that I saw this guy, Paul Mitchell, on stage in the 80s, who just wowed me. I mean, I just connected. It's like, he is so ADD, and we don't know the phrase back then, but I'm like, this guy's a nut, but he's brilliant, and I could do that. He inspired me to know I could do that.
Right.
And once I knew, I asked, I said, do you need educators? And they said, yes, we do. And I said, teach me, because I'm still a student, 61 years old, and I've been doing this for 45 years in this industry. With everything, I never stopped learning. So I was hungry, and I got involved with Paul Mitchell, and they introduced me. They never laughed at me. That was the one thing.
Hmm.
They always encouraged me on to be bigger and better and get more knowledge. And they introduced me to people like Zig Ziglar. I'm like, who's this Zig Ziglar guy? What's it? And I don't know if you've ever heard his tapes. I imagine you have. Zig
Yep.
Ziglar. He was a big motivational speaker.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, wow, I could do this too. I could help other people, because when you go through life with insecurities, low self-esteem, and you find that you have gifts that you haven't tapped into, you want to share it with other people, because you can't keep it till you give it away. So
Right.
that was my life, is I want to help other people. It was never about money, because you chase money, it's evil. I
Hmm.
just want to help other people. And you know what? If I do a good job, maybe money will be the applaud for what
Yeah.
I've done. But the goal was the hair industry, and Paul Mitchell made me that platform artist, made me the man I am today by shaping me in what etiquette was, and what uh, how to get rid of stinking thinking, like Zig Ziglar said, and do the checkup from the neck up. Right.
Exactly.
So that's the first thing I learned. And it was like, wow, this is brilliant. So, yeah, Paul Mitchell was a big influence on how I got to where I am today, because they taught me I wasn't a failure. Teachers always told me I would end up in jail. Only once, Logan, I forgot my gun at the airport. Good thing I was a concealed license carrier. But
Right.
once again, it wasn't because of the way they thought I was going to end up in jail.
Right.
And it's funny, because I saw a teacher many years after I graduated high school, and he said, "Mr. Veglio." I said, "Mr. Hall, let's call him." He
Yeah.
said, "So nice to see you are working and not in prison and robbing banks." I said, "Well, thank you for the encouraging words." But then he
Yeah.
became a faithful customer from there on in. And
Well, good. Good. I think the teachers in our generation were not very empowering. I think they were quite mean often. And I think a lot of them didn't like children. They didn't like the attributes and characteristics of children, which laughing, talkative, active. I mean, a lot of it is that, boys aren't meant to sit at a desk for 6, 7, 8 hours a day and just raise their hand and answer questions, right?
I'll tell you, it's not just boys. I mean, I know a lot of girls are usually mature a lot better than boys and
Right.
quicker.
That's why I
Uh,
said boys, because boys tend to be a little more
Active.
hyperactive, but
Well,
you know,
it's funny you say that, because yes, I saw me and my boys when they were going to school, and the first thing the teachers would do, and they went to Catholic school, by the way. Oops. The first thing they would do is take away the recess, and I'm like, "Why did you do that?" They're like, "Well, he keeps shaking in his chair." I'm like, "Well, instead of having them play at recess, why don't you have him run the track so he can get
right.
all that energy out, rather than punish him?" Because you're right, boys, I don't know anybody, people that have girls know that girls are daintier and cuter, and they mature quicker. Some of them can be a tomboy and quite and a handful, but
Right.
boys, oh my God, they just run into walls for no reason.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I remember like running into the bathroom and just like doing chin-ups, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Just to bored out of my mind in the classroom. And I was also into Catholic schools, and the nuns and priests and brothers did not like it very much, but
No,
we
but
we survived.
Logan, what's funny is my kids went to Catholic school. They would not accept me in Catholic school,
Right.
because of the way, even just in the office, while my parents were trying to sign me up as an immigrant, they were like, I'm not dealing with this child."
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, also the priests and nuns and the brothers who lauded over our heads like you're here by choice, we can kick you out, that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah, oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
oh well. But this book is terrific. What do you hope folks take away from it?
I tell people, listen, I'm not an expert. In no way am I a theologian, or do I, claim to be the expert of the Bible. But what I want people to take away from this book is just to know a little bit is to know a lot. Because that little bit, that one little seed that you might get from one of those chapters, may be that turning point you needed to change your life.
Yeah.
And the more, even though I wrote it, the more I didn't write the parables. Okay, but the more I wrote what I got from the parables, and I read it over and over again, the more light bulbs that go off.
Yeah.
So it's not a one-time thing, but also too, it's sometimes nice to, have it as a reference to go back to when you're feeling a little down and out, or,
Mm.
like I said, we're going through some, crazy times, and especially after COVID. It's a nice way to say, wait a minute, there's something greater, there's something better, and this gives me something more to look forward to. There's enough negativity out there, and more negative books sell, Logan. You know that. If it bleeds, it leads. If it's scary movies, they sell out. But if you had to do something positive, I might get 3 or 4 likes on my Facebook. But if I wrote something controversial, I can probably get 130,000 followers.
Exactly.
But I'm not about that. I'm about, you know what? Let's all start adding some love back out there in any way we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Social media is all about division, all about divisiveness, all about clicks. And it's divides America, it divides the world. Hopefully we find a cure for it. It's the newest ailment we need to cure in this world. That's for
Well,
sure.
that and to me, Jesus is a cure, because a lot of
Yeah.
people lost their faith. They have no foundation, they have no culture, they have nothing, no mentor to look up to. And a lot of people say, well, you can't even see this guy. How do you believe in him? I said, well, can you see oxygen?
Right.
Absolutely not. See, thunder just went off. If you can hear it in the
Yeah,
background,
I
Logan,
did hear that.
he
Yep.
knows we're talking about him. But you
Exactly.
can't see oxygen, but you trust it's there, right? So I'd
Right.
rather have faith than fear.
Yeah. And
And
also, you can see the effects of Jesus, for
oh,
sure, around the world. The most influential man that ever lived. I often quote all the navies that ever sailed, all the armies that ever marched, all the, soldiers that ever, took to the battlefields. No person has ever had more influence on this world than that one solitary life. And we're blessed that he was that one solitary life, because he taught us goodness, and he taught us, you know, a great way to have a wonderful civilization.
yeah, and unfortunately, and he gave us free will. People are like, well, why does he make this happen? Why he no, he doesn't make it happen.
Right,
He gives you the free will to make a choice.
right.
And you know what? And we're gonna make bad choices. We're gonna, that's what I love about the Bible is he understands. That's why he died for us, right? He knows we're gonna sin. He knows we're gonna fall. He knows we're gonna make mistakes. But he's always there for us. I heard a story once, and if I can share with you,
Sure.
uh, this guy gets into heaven, and he was greeted by all these angels, and they're like, "Hey, welcome, welcome. How'd you get here?" He said, "I don't know." They go, "Well, you must have did a good deed." He goes, "I don't think so." They go, "Well, what did you do down on earth?" He said, "I was a murderer and a thief." They go, "Wait a minute, let me get my supervisor." So they go get the angel supervisor. He comes over, and they said, "This guy said he was a murderer and a thief, but he got into heaven." And the supervisor goes, "Is that true?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, how's that possible?" He goes, "Well, the man on the middle cross said I could come." And I was like, wow,
Yeah, that's great.
that's what he did for us,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
once again, I don't go around, people think that sometimes religious people or people who write books go around, and every time they have a conversation, it's like, Jesus loves you, you're healed.
Right.
They get scared by that. Listen, don't get scared by religion. Don't get scared by believing. Some people believe in Superman or Batman. They're not real. You haven't seen somebody fly through the sky,
Right.
but there is a God, that there is evidence, Jesus, that's been here, and it's been written for how long.
Yeah.
But once again, have something greater to believe in than nothing at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Especially something as great as the word of Christ. It's life-changing. Whether you view him as the Son of God or just a philosopher, I mean, his
Yeah.
words are beautiful, and certainly have had great impact on our globe. You've done great work on our globe as well with your philanthropic efforts and your advocacy against human trafficking. Tell us a little bit about your work there.
Well, that was quite enlightening about human trafficking. I never cared for it, and I've always saw it in front of me. I never noticed that it was human trafficking. Matter of fact, even in my industry, I would see a gentleman bring in a slew of girls. and pay for all their haircuts and their color. And I'm thinking, wow, what a great day today. You know, look at all this. They couldn't talk, they couldn't speak, they would whisper once in a while. But I'm thinking maybe they're shy because they're all young. But
Mm.
they were dressed very cheesy.
Hmm.
And then later on in the industry, it taught me about human trafficking. And these girls were obviously being human trafficked because he was only allowed to speak for them, the way they dress. And he made a remark that made me think, wow, because he said, if you ever want to go out with any of them, just let me know. And it didn't dawn on me at that moment. And then I was thinking, wow, what if that was my child? What
Right.
if that was my sister? What if that was my brother? And you know, human trafficking isn't just kids that are underage. It's not just kids that are, 18. It's senior citizens
Right.
that people take advantage of. So, and as we get into the new age, Bitcoin. I'm not going to say the name of the coins, but all these currencies that are available are used for the black market and to trade in human trafficking. And we can't do much after the age of 18, but if we can educate the young to be aware of human trafficking, or we can see something, say something, we might be able to help a few people, especially the very young and the elderly.
Yeah.
And we in our industry have actually taken some girls out of human trafficking who wanted to leave. They were put in a safe place. They went through trade school, even cosmetology. And one girl who went through our school, I'll just talk one of many,
Sure.
went on to open up her own salon. Now she has a chain of salon and now is her own master. She doesn't have to answer to anybody to tell her what to do or get beat or anything like that. She is her own boss, not somebody's little slave or it just, and it sickens me to watch kids get trafficked as well. So when people support, and when you see prostitutes out there, they're not prostitutes. Remember, a lot of them didn't have a choice. They're
Right.
trafficked, and people always say, "Oh, she's a prostitute. She's this. She's that." No, she's been human trafficked, and don't look at. She's a stripper. Well, look at. She's coming to school to change her life. Don't judge her. Help her or him
Yeah.
in this situation. So, yeah, can you tell I'm a little passionate?
No, I agree, and you know more about this subject than I do, and it is really shining light on it, which is great. And I
Yeah.
imagine a lot of these people who are human trafficked are immigrants who are led here under a ploy, promised a better
Look at our
life,
border.
promised opportunity.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look at our border.
Yeah.
Not to pick on the border, there are people, and I'm an immigrant, who
Mm.
legitimately want to come here and live the American dream. There are people who come in here to purposely bring children in for the money of human trafficking. We
Right.
know it, but unfortunately, there's not a lot that is being done because the hands are tied. There's got to be better vetting. How can you do that? Because these kids will never have a life like maybe you and I may have. Yeah, we got slapped around. Yeah, we got beat by our parents. But
We got
we were loved.
reasonably beat.
Yes, reasonably. I mean, they did it with love, and people
Yeah.
said your father hit you because he loved you. I said, but that man had a crush on me. But these kids will never feel the love,
Right.
uh, a true unconditional love.
Yeah.
So to me, that's very hurtful. And if I can help one, and if all of us could just help
Right.
one, imagine
Right.
collectively what that would look like. So keep your eye open. You see something, say something.
Yeah.
We put members in the bathrooms, we put flyers up any way that we can get them to secretly ask for help, because it's very hard when they're being even senior citizens. For instance, I'm going to slide a little bit here. My ADD is
Mhm.
kicking in. But when you go to the bank and you see somebody that won't let this elderly person speak and they do all the speaking, it's
Right.
not always because they're the translator, it's because they're the trafficker. So
Right.
just keep that in mind. If you think it's suspicious, say something. If
Right.
it's not, okay, at least, but if it is, you saved somebody.
Exactly. Exactly. Got to take action. The only thing necessary for evil to take root is for good people to do nothing. So
Right.
absolutely true. Absolutely true. You've been recognized for your leadership, for your efforts, the 2023 Outstanding Leadership Award, the 2024 Visionary Award. Tell us a little bit about those accolades.
Thank you. It's funny. I have, and I don't like to talk about it. I get kind of shy and embarrassed,
Yeah.
but I have a box full of stuff, and I never work for the trophy. And today
Oh,
everybody gets one, but when we were growing up, that we had to earn it.
right.
But it's, when you do stuff, don't think people don't notice. So it's nice that people do recognize what we do when we change people's lives.
Mm,
And if we do it on purpose, people will notice. And recognition is a wonderful thing. And it's nice to say, here's the award. I hang it up. I mean, I'm proud
right.
somebody recognized it, but
Right.
it's not the aim for me. And it's nice to get recognized this last couple of years for the visionary and the leadership, but I do it with purpose. If I can help you become what you want to be or better, because I wrote another book. It's called Unwrapping Your Gifts.
Mm,
It's a second edition of that, and it's how to value yourself first before, because once you value yourself, you can value others. So it's
right.
30 steps to doing that. Um, and why did I do that? Because once again, I want to see, my purpose is to help you when you thought you had no gift, you had no talent. It's not true. God doesn't make you without a gift, and He gives you tons of gifts. You just haven't unwrapped it yet. And
Exactly.
take a chance and unwrap it, and you never know what's going to pop out of that box. You know.
That's great.
So
That's great advice. Very, very true. So many people don't know the beauty they possess, the talent they possess, the skills they possess,
yeah.
because they have been, told that they can't when they actually can, which is what's great about your book. And sounds like it's a theme of many of your books. You do have ADHD, like I have ADHD. So it means you're always working on
Hey,
something.
we're in the club.
Exactly. Yeah. So what are you working on now? What's your project
Well,
right
can I
now? A
tell
new book?
people?
Sure.
Yes, but can I tell people, when people tell you you have a learning disability, say no, I have a gift, because
Right.
those are just labels. Rip those labels off and take the gift, okay? Because you could do things that other people cannot.
Great
The
way to
next
frame
book
it.
I'm working on, right? Thank you. The next book I'm working on should be released probably within the next couple of weeks. Is Wearing the Armor in Faith, Life, and Leadership. And it's a story about Ezra and Samuel. And Samuel's the blacksmith, and Ezra is the knight who comes in this beautiful armor that this blacksmith is just in awe with, and he wants to know every piece of it: the belt, the breastplate, the
Mm.
helmet. But how does that relate in life and leadership and faith, and why is it important? And they have these discussions night after night about each piece, and then the blacksmith will go back and make it in his shop, and then teach the villagers about it. So it's kind of it's a great little story. I also have a kids book coming out after with biblical rhymes. There, it's funny because I've been drawn to a lot of the faith books, even though I have books on inner verbal and nonverbal skills in today's world with social media and in-person interaction. So I do a lot of business books as well. But lately, I've been drawn to a lot of the faith because they all go hand in hand.
Mm.
Uh, because in business or leadership, to be successful, I got the biggest secret to be successful and make a lot of money or just have a fruitful life. And the
Yeah.
secret is be nice.
Yeah.
Love people like you love yourself, and love them and serve them, and you will be very successful. But if it's me, 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 and it's your ego that you're feeding, it's not going to help it. If you don't mind, may I share a story with you?
Sure.
Because I tell these to my kids, because as you know, I'm involved and I own beauty schools.
Hmm.
Uh, so I teach the kids. I'm like, there's the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, and the goddess of money. If you chase the goddess of money, she's going to play hard to get. She's going to tease you. She's going to play games with you
Yeah.
until you give her attention. She'll make you do evil things for it too. But if you chase the goddess of wisdom and knowledge and ignore the goddess of money, she's going to get jealous. So she's going to keep throwing money at you as long as you don't pay attention to her and you focus on the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, The goddess of money will be jealous. But as soon as you give her your attention, you've lost. Yeah. So always focus on wisdom and knowledge, and money will be the applaud for the great job that you've done.
Great advice, great note to leave the folks on at home. The book we've been talking about today, written by Giulio Veglio, is a wonderful book. It's called Illuminating the Path. His life from a salon owner to an internationally recognized educator and master stylist is told within the pages, but it is a testament to the transformative power of leadership and service. It'll also help renew your faith by exploring the parables of Christianity. Wonderful, wonderful book, wonderful author. Giulio, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me today. It was a pleasure.
I appreciate your time. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.